on that. That's a political statement, Darren. You know we don't do that. All right, here we go.
The Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt is funded by patrons like you and me. Each month I pledge $1. Being British, I had no idea what a dollar was, so I stayed up for hours researching and discovered that it is about 62 pence. To pledge 62p, or perhaps even more, go to patreon.com/acedetect.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, May 29th, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Darren Kitchen, founder of hack5.org. How are you, DK?
It feels so good to be here, Tom. I'm very excited about today's show, and it's cool to be using technology again.
Yeah, you spent a week at a camp digitally detoxing. You are mellowed out, man.
I am, and now I miss my Apple Newton and all of my old tech. I feel like I need to
they wiped his memory too.
Program of getting back in the groove. So maybe I find my old Palm Pilot and do my HP iPack one by one.
Man. You might want to start with Windows 286 and some DOS.
Yeah, DOS shell is
so you don't have the digital bends.
You know, Len's here as well.
Yeah, Len Peralta is here. He has not been detoxing digitally. How's it going, Len Peralta?
Oh, I'm doing well. Go Cavs.
Yeah, but yet you're wearing a baseball shirt.
I know. They're calling me right now about that.
The Cavs are calling Dan Len. Sir, you're not representing us properly wearing an Indian shirt. Don't do that. So Len's going to be illustrating the show, as he always does. Well, we're going to be talking a little bit about a former North Korean computer science professor who has defected to South Korea and is now warning us that 6,000 North Korean hackers could destroy a whole city. Darren and I will evaluate those claims after the headlines. Apple posted its recommended workaround for the iPhone messages bug, according to The Verge. The support document directs iPhone users to reply to any malicious messages using Siri. Apple's also working on a fix. The bug is also affecting iOS users of Twitter and Snapchat who have notifications on for those services. With Twitter, it just crashes your phone, doesn't cause any lasting damage. With Snapchat, it makes the chat history with the sender inaccessible seemingly permanently. I'm sure somebody will figure out a workaround to that. It doesn't affect the rest of Snapchat, though. It's kind of a joke on the person who sent it because you can no longer communicate with that person.
You know, what I'm most disappointed at, and I must say, I must give credit to Apple first, and that I love their workaround. It's like, oh yeah, you just have to use Siri and coax it into, doing this thing and reading this message for you. It's almost you're holding it wrong. I love it. But I'm really disappointed that the Unicode characters that create this are not the table flip guy, and I feel like that's a lost opportunity. It
really is, although the fact is that, as far as I understand it, Darren, and I know you researched this for ThreatWire, so maybe you know a little more about it, I don't know. It's the fact that there are too many unusual characters for the notifications process to handle them, which causes the problems. So could you just do a whole lot of table flip guys and get the same effect?
You know, you might be able to. It comes down to Cortex is the engine that actually parses those and creates the lines and paragraphs. And I guess it's actually used by not just the iPhone, but the iPad, the Apple Watch, as well as even OS X, but only in the terminal. Mm-hmm. And so it's the way that it's implemented specifically on the iPhones to the notifications. So if you don't have home screen notifications or I guess lock screen notifications turned on, you'll never have this experience. So that's a good workaround for right now until Apple does issue a fix. And it does make you wonder, like, what other characters could you spam to the notification area where it wouldn't know how to handle them?
Yeah, I mean, enough table flip guys will make anybody upset, to be honest.
Yeah.
PC World reports on Google's announcement that Levi's, the jean makers, are the first partner for a smart fabric called Project Jacquard, spelled Jacquard. The experiment weaves electronics into cloth to create the equivalent of touchscreen controls. So the demos they're doing at Google I/O show fabric that manipulates a 3D image on a display, changes the songs on a phone, skips forward, etc., and even controls the lights. You can turn your lights off and on. Think of it like a mouse in your pants. Wait.
Yeah. No, I love it. And it's a great thing that Google has really partnered with a true innovator in the pants arena. I mean, Levi Strauss really innovated denim jeans as far back as 1853.
Sure, rivets.
They were known for their massive innovation in using rivets. There used to, in fact, be a rivet in the crotch area, which has since been removed because the
thankfully
founder sat a little too close to a campfire, and it turns out those things get hot. But yeah, no, so this is another such innovation. So, I mean, it may have been, 150 years coming, but I'm looking forward to the next big thing from Levi's.
Reuters reports Path sold some of its apps to South Korea's Dam Kakao. They are the makers of Kakao Talk. If you're making the remark, "Who uses Path anymore?" you, sir or madam, just gave yourself away as not being Indonesian. Instant data mining. I know who you are now. In any case, the makers of Kakao Talk didn't get all of Path, just the social network and Path Messenger. Path Places, which a lot of people liked, and enabled connections between customers and businesses like restaurants, stayed with Path, though it has been disabled for the time being. And Path says they don't have a way to invest in a new app for it to live in. Path has also been developing non-Path branded apps like GIF creation app Kong.
I'm just wondering, like, where do social networks go to die?
Indonesia?
Well,
apparently that's what the reason Kakao, because Kakao Talk is the biggest messenger in South Korea. The reason Kakao bought Path is they wanted to get into the Indonesian market, and apparently Path is huge in Indonesia.
That's cool.
Yeah. A report from the Washington Post cites a new report from the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights that says digital security is essential for freedom of expression, and warns that weakening encryption in some countries could undermine that freedom worldwide. The report was written by Special Rapporteur David Kay. He's also the director of the International Justice Clinic at the University of California, Irvine. Kay wrote that governments, quote, should avoid all measures that weaken the security that individuals may enjoy online, such as backdoors, weak encryption standards, and key escrows, because it results in weaker security for everyone.
This is epic. I love this. I love this as much as I love all of the other amazing things that are written out in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It really speaks to me as a human, and I think that we would all say, like, yes, this is a good thing. And it's really upsetting when you see all of the amazing stuff that is said by the United Nations, all of the these proposals and all of these papers and then you see what actually happens, and it's like that discrepancy that's really heartbreaking. So I hope that this, unfortunately, it doesn't have any teeth, but I hope it can be used to wave the flag and maybe get something that does have teeth.
It's a very well written reasoning of why weakening encryption, even with escrow keys, is a bad idea. And you may still be for it. I know there are some people who are. But I would highly encourage you to read this, even if you are for it, because this may help you come up with better arguments of why it is important to weaken encryption. I personally don't think that we should weaken encryption, and my reasons run right alongside of this. I think what's impressive about it is this person is a legal scholar, an international law scholar, and yet, and no surprise that legal scholars are good at arguing, but was able to really show that he understood the nature of encryption as well, which is a really difficult topic that even security researchers can get wrong sometimes.
Well, it's just nice that we'll be able to have such a representative source to cite, in that argument that it's not a good idea to weaken encryption. You got to take the good with the bad to move forward.
TechCrunch reports that Apple acquired augmented reality startup Meteo on May 22nd. It's Metaio. Company launched back in 2003 as an offshoot of a project of Volkswagen, of all places. 9 to 5 Mac's Mark Gurman, who has good sources, believes that Apple is working on an augmented reality feature for its Maps app. And this would bear out that they're at least working on augmented reality for something. And, of course, there's that VR headset that Apple patented earlier this year. Of course, they patent a lot of things that don't end up turning into products, but it definitely seems like Apple's trying to get into either AR, VR, or both in some way down the road.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they weren't. Really.
Yeah, kind of makes sense that they would. The Verge reports the welcome news that you can finally use GIFs on Facebook. Mostly. If you drop a link to a GIF, which has already been uploaded elsewhere on the internet, the GIF will appear. Uploading a GIF directly to Facebook doesn't seem to work just yet.
Yeah, we may know someone actually that might have made this happen personally.
Is that right?
It's actually really cool that the technology that works on the back end. The reason why it's such a long time coming is because GIFs are inherently terrible at data compressions, and some GIFs will actually they're just massive in size for what they're actually animating. So on the back end, what will happen is it'll ingest the GIF and then create a version of the GIF that's actually using HTML5 to play it back. But if you still want to, you can right-click and save it, and then it will serve up the actual GIF, so you can save that GIF to your desktop. And
so the whole trick, because I know there's probably some old school folks who are like, you just show the image, right? What's so hard, Facebook?
Yeah.
But what you're saying is they're trying to make sure that they use the same compression that keeps their service light, especially on mobile for people, and this has been able to not lose an animated GIF, because if you compress it wrong, you lose the animation. So yeah, that is a nifty trick there. That's really cool.
Right, and it's really weird that when you think about what's happened is there's a massive technological workaround being done to use the latest and greatest video compression technologies for one of the oldest on the internet, because we just can't let it go. I think it says a lot about the culture of the internet, and so I think that the GIF is just an amazing thing in that, right?
Engadget reports that Google is broadening out its Google sign-in feature with Smart Lock for Passwords. In a Google developer's blog post, Smart Lock for Passwords is described as a frictionless method for users to sign into apps on Android and on sites in Chrome. Smart Lock works a bit like a password locker. Once a user saves a password to Smart Lock, they can then skip entering those credentials on any authenticated instance of Chrome or Android devices. For instance, Netflix is a partner in this. So if I sign into Netflix on my Chrome browser, save that login, that authentication to Smart Lock, then I could go to Android TV, where I'm logged in with my Google account, launch Netflix, and it would say, oh, okay, you're logged in already, and I don't have to go through all that on-screen mess to log in again.
Well, it sounds like it makes life really convenient, and from what I understand about security and convenience is that they're not always hand in hand.
I was worried you were going to point that out.
Google credit because they're usually pretty innovative when it comes to security. You know, being one of the first to roll out two-factor authentication and things of that nature. But I don't know. I got to ask you, Tom. Do you use a password manager?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Do you?
Would you use a Google password manager?
I don't know. I might for something like this. Look, I'm sure that Google is going to go to great lengths to demonstrate to people how secure this is. I wouldn't store my passwords for my bank in there. I'm just saying. My Netflix account, that might be an acceptable risk.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I just can't use.
Now I'm starting to. Just your tone of voice is making me rethink my position on that. Like, okay, what?
Well, there's not a wrong opinion, Tom.
Yeah, I know.
You know, everyone else's, and then yours as the outlier.
Yeah. So you're just like, no,
I wouldn't do it.
I would never give my data.
I don't use any password manager. So.
And that's because you believe that password manager gives you a single point of failure, and if somebody hacks into that, you lose everything, right?
Exactly.
So what's the solution for somebody who's like, I am not going to try to remember all my passwords?
Oh, well, unfortunately, password reset functions are so terribly built that it all really just hinges on your email anyway. So when you think of it that way, right, if I can just, using Netflix as an example, if I want to reset your Netflix and get, I guess not get your password, but change your Netflix password so I can, log in and see your movies and find out you're a closet brony or whatever, I can just do that by hacking your email, right, and then resetting your Netflix password. And the same goes for most other services. They fall back on your email. So when you've already accepted the fact that the single point of failure is already your email, and a lot of people use Google Gmail as their inbox, then I guess it's not too much of a stretch to say, well, I'm already in that boat. But I guess I'm just not ready to commit all the way to that.
But what do you do to manage your passwords then?
Oh, I just remember a different password, and if I forget it, I just reset it.
You just reset it. Okay.
Yeah, I use a lot of My secret is the Whois record database for domains. There's unique information in each of these, which can be used as a seed, and sometimes, depending on the level of stuff, you may have to run it through an MD5 to get a checksum and use an offset. Anyway, there's a lot of tricks where you can come up with a non-memorable but very easily remembered password. That didn't make any sense.
The problem I have with that, the thing I worry about with that is if somebody gets a couple of my passwords, right? And this is an edge case, I'll admit.
Yes,
but if somebody were to get a couple of my passwords, they might be able to figure out my method.
Sure. No, if there's a pattern, absolutely, you're right. And I don't have a good defense against that, except for the fact that the pattern seems very random, considering I use like hashing algorithms and seed data from static sources. That
it's all about speed bumps, right? You're throwing a lot of speed bumps in the way of somebody who really wants to get at it.
I'm not low-hanging fruit.
Honestly, the thing is, get rid of passwords.
Exactly. I think they're terrible. I'm not saying that I know what the better solution is, but they are pretty terrible.
And Google has a lot going on at I/O about replacements for passwords and things like that. They're part of the FIDO Alliance.
Well, I don't think the first solution we're going to see is the best, and I think we're going to see a lot of solutions offered from a lot of big companies. But regardless, the big takeaway there is that this is on our minds. It's something that we've all acknowledged is a terrible part of the web, and unlike GIFs, it should die.
All right. What should not die is your participation in the subreddit. Thank you to everybody, especially the moderators, but everybody who participates and helps us put the show together by doing that. Yes, there are people who, the money men and women get to be co-executive producers because they pledge on the Patreon at a certain level. That's what that title means. That means the people who gave the money to make the thing happen. But then there's the actual line producers. You can call yourself a line producer of Daily Tech News Show if you're in there in the subreddit helping us figure out what to talk about every day. Captain Kipper is a line producer. He sent us this Torrent Freak story that Ola VPN sells users bandwidth to others through a service called Luminati. This has come to light, even though it was already in the light apparently, because an 8chan message board operator named Frederick Brennan claimed that Luminati was used to attack his website. Ola doesn't deny that. In fact, they don't deny any of it. Ola says it has, in fact, suspended the user that misused its service, and it would cooperate with any law enforcement activity related to the attacks. They're sorry about it. They're like, look, any VPN provider could be used to do this. We're sorry it happened to him, but we've stopped that account from using our service. Ola's FAQ also makes it clear that it does use bandwidth from Ola's customers when they are sitting idle, and the company defines idle as meaning the device is connected to power, not on battery. There is no mouse or keyboard activity. The device is connected to an actual local network or Wi-Fi, not on cellular data. And they say any user who isn't comfortable with this can buy Ola for $5 a month. But if you listen to ThreatWire, as Darren Kitchen pointed out this morning, botnet could be another word for how this activity could be used.
Right, yeah, we did go into this a little bit more in ThreatWire, so check that out. It's another one of the shows we do at the Hack5 warehouse. But yeah, the interesting thing about this is there's a lot of money to be made in botnets. And this is a really interesting quasi-lawful way to go about it by providing a service and just having it parts of terms of service. And we've talked about this a bit before, about how it's really interesting, the juxtaposition between being a citizen under the law versus being a user under the terms of service, and how corporations can kind of come up with whatever they want as far as their rules, and it's fair, it's their playground. But in this case, the playground is a lot different than you might expect if you're just installing this very simple Chrome extension so that you can watch a geo-fenced football game where you otherwise wouldn't be able to use. The BBC iPlayer is the go-to example of oh well, if you look like you're in Britain, then you can watch the BBC. Right. And so it's great that because of because of geofencing, that more people have clued into VPNs, and VPNs can do a lot to protect people's privacy. So I guess that's the silver lining, that it's good. But in this case, Hola is a pretty terrible company. When you look at the Luminati brand that they run, which resells your bandwidth resources when your computer is idle, what it does is allows someone to pay money to use the aggregated user base of OLA to send HTTP posts to a single source. That's how they describe it. They've got a really pretty infographic that shows like your data, all these users, one target. And there's a term for that on the internet, and it's called a distributed denial of service attack. In fact, they basically only allow you to do HTTP posts, so it only has one use case, and that's DDoS. There's really not another use case for this service. So they claim that this is spelled out in their FAQ, which it is now, but many have pointed out that FAQ was recently updated. How recently? Was it just as soon as the 8chan DDoS got attention by the media? Although the other takeaway that I see here is, wow, what an interesting service. It's kind of like Tor in that everybody's sharing bandwidth, and you're becoming an exit node by default, which means other people's traffic is passing through you. There's another security risk in this that you're probably not considering, where typically a VPN, if you trust your VPN provider, you're securing your traffic between you and it, and then it goes out from their servers, right? And as long as you trust their servers, then you're good. But with their distributed free VPN solution, all of your traffic is going through some random guy's connection. So as the security researcher, I'm kind of like, wow, I'm going to spin up a few of these in some virtual machines and just sniff all the insecure traffic coming out of them.
Yeah. There's 2 points here. One is, let's leave the Illuminati service and the questions about its legitimacy aside. This is a really interesting technology if it is above board, and if you do say, folks, you need to be aware of a security issue here, but in that case, it's kind of a peer-to-peer geolocation fuzzer, right? And maybe that's not going to be something that governments are going to want to allow or not. But it's a really interesting way to do this. It is not a secure way to do this at all. And it is not the kind of VPN that you should be using if you want to secure your traffic in a virtual private network. So any VPN service you buy, you need to make sure that you know that the company running it is trustworthy and has a good track record.
Right. If I would feel very different about this service if there wasn't the Illuminati DDoS selling botnet aspect of it. And you're right, security notwithstanding, because you're not going to have that when you're aggregating your internet traffic through a network like that. I mean, you don't have that through Tor. If you run a Tor exit node, you see people's traffic. But not everybody does that. And the people that do are a lot more privacy conscious, I would consider. I would feel very different if this service, something as easy to set up as this, it's like 2 clicks to get going, were like an open source project or something like that. Right. And I feel like it's very much needed in this day and age because unfortunately geofencing is being used more and more, and it's not really, the internet wasn't built to prop up business models that rely on borders. So similar to how we saw in New Zealand a few weeks back, the laws about the lawsuit with the ISP there and Netflix, and saying like, whoa, you're offering a service that's going to allow people to pose as they're coming in from a different country than New Zealand, and we want to be able to restrict who gets what where. And I would love to see something like this used massively to the point where geofencing, geolocation IP data is completely useless at propping up these models.
The internet doesn't work the way a lot of people think it works when they want to make money off of it. For instance, Cairo 5976 sent us the Cult of Mac report that more than half of the founding artists of Jay-Z's Tidal music streaming service may have to pull their music from the site because Tidal has failed to reach a music licensing agreement with Sony. Among the artists affected are Taylor Swift's man Calvin Harris, Alicia Keys, Daft Punk, Usher, and founder Jay-Z's wife, Beyonce. Jay-Z was apparently hoping a deal with Sprint was going to cover the cost of Sony's licensing terms, but Sprint has apparently decided that they are not in a, quote, financial investment situation. I don't want to get too much Schadenfreude out of this because I thought it was a good thing to have Tidal in there, despite the miscue of promoting themselves as give the artist the money when they're all incredibly successful artists. More competition is better to me. However, it's a lot more of a morass of licensing out there than you would think, and that's what Tidal is learning right now. And that's a look at the headlines. All right, let's talk about Professor Kim Heung-Kwang, and apologies for my Korean pronunciation. He defected from the PDK, or the PDRK, yeah, the People's Democratic Republic of Korea, North Korea, in 2004. He taught computer science at Hamhung Computer Technology University for 20 years and says that many of his students went on to the infamous Bureau 121, which is allegedly a segment of hackers from North Korea who operate around the world, including out of the basement of a Korean restaurant in China or possibly a hotel in Shenyang. There's also the number 91 office in North Korea, which is hackers. Anyway, he claims to still be in contact with several influential people in North Korea with knowledge of cyber operations, says there are around 6,000 hackers in the Bureau 121 now, estimates that 10 to 20% of military budget spending in North Korea is done on online operations, and warns that their cyber attacks could have similar impacts as military attacks, killing people and destroying cities. Those are his words, killing people and destroying cities. He says, quote, a Stuxnet-style attack designed to destroy a city has been prepared by North Korea and is a feasible threat. Now, I'll give the BBC props for quoting journalist Martin Williams, who said, quote, I think it's important to underline that this is theoretical and possible from non-North Korean hackers, too. Then Professor Kim went on to call for ICANN, the folks who handled the domain name system, among other things, to ban North Korea if they are found guilty of this. And ICANN responded, ICANN does not have the power nor remit to ban countries from having a presence or access to the internet. This is from Duncan Burns, its head of communications. Meanwhile, if you want to get the North Korea internet offline, go to China Unicom and convince them to cut them off, because that's the one connection that North Korea has to the internet.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot going on there. So first of all, this idea. Let's go with the could North Korean hackers destroy a city?
Well, I mean, it depends on your concept of destroy. I mean, I feel like, in this ever-connected global economy kind of, world that we live in, war is very expensive. There's a lot of deterrence to destroying cities in that you may not be around to see the next sunrise. And so if what you're trying to achieve can be done in a different means that doesn't necessarily mean, blowing up cities, then cyber is probably your best way to go. I'd say bang for dollar, bang for buck, a cyber army is, leaps and bounds more effective than bombs and guns. So it would make sense to put your money there if you're North Korea. But
okay, so they can do some damage, but what kind of damage can they do?
Okay, so we saw some kind of hints to what can actually be done in the real world, as everything is connected to a computer in one way or another. With Stuxnet, the worm that was supposedly co-created between us and Iran and I'm sorry, the Israelis, and we used it to destroy the PLCs that do the centrifuges that enrich uranium, right? And it's because those programmable logic controllers, they monitor equipment and they execute commands telling them how to spin and whatnot. And it was a very specialized worm, specifically designed to destroy this pieces of equipment by telling it to spin in a certain way that they knew would damage it. But
and it was passed by
that from
USB stick, right? It was not that these things were networked, but there were some insecure USB sticks that this malware
the delivery means
piggybacked on.
Were interesting, yes. Something that I'm actually very familiar with USB switchblades and the USB rubber duck keys and things of that nature. But the delivery mechanisms notwithstanding, was interesting here is it was overriding the firmware on these very specialized pieces of equipment, telling them, hey, go do something that we know is going to break you, but don't tell anyone. Don't set off those alarms.
But they didn't destroy a city.
Yes,
even
so
Stuxnet
think about that as it applies to all of the other things that manage, our water lines and our gas lines and our electrical grid, and as we think about it as consumers, like, oh, smart meters, but we don't think about the back end, which is like making all of this happen. And so if the firmware of a lot of these devices can be overwritten in such a way that'll cause harm and at the same time not alert that there's anything happening, by the time you do find out that something went wrong, it might be a little too late. Sure. And I don't feel like you're going to see like buildings blowing up and action heroes jumping out of windows and over helicopters. What you'll end up with is like power outages and water not flowing the way it needs to, and maybe gas lines doing what gas lines do when things go wrong.
Yeah, and Martin Williams makes a good point. It's not like a hacker from North Korea is the only person in the world who can do this. So if you had to just guess, and it's an educated guess, but it's an unscientific guess, what do you think the likelihood is that North Korea could or would pull off something like that? I personally think it's rather low.
You think it's rather what?
Low. Okay.
I think that theoretically, a lot of those, there's the possibility to wreak some havoc with computers, yes. I think that if there's any nation state, I would put my money, I would rank North Korea number one as far as having the motive. And technical skill can be learned by pretty much anyone. I mean, it's an equal playing field when it comes to this. It's not like, nuclear proliferation. There's not United Nations councils, that are tasked with controlling the export and stuff and controlling the use of different technologies when it comes to this. You can do the same with a netbook that you can with, to similar effect of giant workstations and servers. So
this sort of thing has been possible for a long time, I guess is my point. And we don't see it happening every day.
It probably would have already.
Yeah. On the other end of it, asking ICANN to ban North Korea shows a definite misunderstanding of how the internet works by Professor Kim, because ICANN manages a domain name, and sure, you can get rid of North Korea's domain name, but that does not take them off the internet.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about the internet, is there's no centralized authority that are like, oh yeah, we're the internet company. Oh, turn off the internet? Sure, let me press the big red button.
You didn't pay your internet bill. We're turning your internet off.
It doesn't work that way. And it's great that it's decentralized in that nature. It's what makes it so beautiful. I mean, when you think, the internet is just a network of networks, right? Yeah. And so whether your network is connected, they're not all connected. Sometimes there's just not a route, right? But the idea that ICANN, which just manages domain names, could say turn off a country is kind of, it's a little crazy. Because the domain name has nothing to do with their connection to the internet. It will still work.
That's why Doug Bird said we don't have the power. Like we can't do that. We can turn off their domain name. He's like, we don't have the remit to do that either. We don't have the authorization, right? It's not our job to decide who gets to have a domain name or not. That's a bigger question. But he's also like, even if we took away their domain name, it doesn't keep them off the internet in any way. China Unicom has the one pipe that connects North Korea to the rest of this interconnected network of networks that Darren's talking about. So really, if anybody has the ability to take North Korea off the internet, it would be them.
Right. And that's the idea, is you hedge your bets and you have multiple connections. Yeah. And, as servers go down, as servers are wanting to do, you have a backup. So yeah, if you have a single point of failure, there you go. But I don't think, yes, it's not ICANN's decision who gets to be on the internet any more than it is ICANN's decision who gets to be on the planet, right? You remove the internet from the equation, and really what we're talking about is connecting people.
Right. Unfortunately, when you're talking about North Korea, it's questionable how many people actually benefit from those connections. So
I would hope that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights applies to the citizens of North Korea, but I unfortunately know otherwise.
Yeah. Our pick of the day will cheer us up, though. Joel, the Uper DTNS Nickelbacker, he writes, for a long time I have drooled from afar at the world of home automation, as the solutions were either too expensive or too complex for the whole family. Then I saw this on the shelf for $24. Link Starter Pack by GE. Comes with a Wink-based hub, 260-watt equivalent dimmable LED bulbs. I found it to be a great way to test out new tech trends without getting too invested, because it's only $24. And if I do decide to go further, there's a bunch of compatible products. That's cool. He's got a link to it if you're interested. It is a bargain price that they're offering there. for something like this. And it's, I think he's got the right approach, which is, hey, something for me to play around with, a couple of LED bulbs, see if I like it. Because you don't want to go too far in investing in this sort of thing when we really don't know what the standard's going to end up being.
Right, and you know what you're going to want to do when you get that is get yourself like an X stick or another USB adapter that speaks Zigbee, because one of the reasons these are so cheap is because they speak that very lightweight protocol. Zigbee is, it doesn't get enough attention really, but it's basically like, you know, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on a different frequency. So it seems kind of hackable, and for $25 I might have to pick up a set of these and start hacking on them because it's a fun protocol.
Thanks for the pick, Jill. Send your picks to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com, folks. I want to hear from you. You can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. We'll get through a few of these emails here. Toby Atticus Fraley let us know that his Kickstarter has succeeded at the Pittsburgh International Airport. Well, he wants to put a robot repair shop in the Pittsburgh International Airport, and he got funded, so it'll be opening this September. As far as Toby knows, this is the first time a public art installation for the airport has been crowdsourced, and there will be a robot repair shop if you're flying through Pittsburgh. It's kind of cool. Co-executive producer Damien from Gloomy Outside My Hospital Window, Maitland, Australia. I hope you get well soon then, Damien said, when I heard about testing of Google Tone, I immediately cringed at the thought of the security implications. Did you read about Google Tone, Darren?
Oh, that must have been when it was off-grid. Oh no, I left. The world changed.
It's not new. It's new from Google, but other people have done it before. You basically, if you're at a website, and I always try to do this with dailytechnewsshow.com. If you're at a website, you can press this Chrome extension. It makes a tone, and then if you have another logged-in instance of that same browser, it will give you a pop-up saying, would you like to open that link? So Damien said, you made an offhand comment about malware bridging the air gap and moved on, but I'm astounded that no one else seems to have made any other comments about the potential risks associated with the technology designed to bypass one of the fundamental security concepts that a standalone unconnected computer is unhackable. I realize that it is an optional extension. The user has to click to confirm the link being sent, but we know how easy it is to convince people to click on links that they shouldn't.
Okay. Yes, no, all very good stuff. We actually used a very similar technology in an air gap situation as kind of a thought exercise, really, and that was to transfer data over acoustics, just free, open in the air, very similar to the way that a modem works, but at a much lower baud rate. Something like 300 symbols per second is what you can realistically achieve in a room with some regular room noise, and it's pretty cool. I didn't realize that there was an extension to do this, but that's what it is. It's just making tones that the other computer can recognize, and what it relies on is software on the other device, in this case a smartphone, constantly listening for those tones and accepting them and processing that data. So if your air-gapped machine isn't listening all the time for stuff, then you're probably fine. I would say that the best air-gapped machines very much limit their input-output. I would say limit your output to only the monitor and limit your input to only the keyboard and mouse. So that means, don't have speakers and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all of those other things that typically, air-gapped machines are used to hold sensitive data. Don't use anything that would allow unsensitive stuff to leave, or sensitive stuff to leave.
I also, if I understand the Chrome extension correctly, you really have to have it installed on your browser and be logged into Google. So I think you're at risk from a lot more things than somebody playing a tone that tricks your computer into giving a pop-up that you don't pay attention to and accidentally click and install malware. It's a fair point. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disparaging that. I think it's a little lower on the totem pole, and so if you're worried about it, just don't use this extension at all.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Dave from Too Damn Sunny and Not Enough Rainy Los Angeles is an avid photographer and pointed out that in Google's new Photos app, when he turned on the new feature to upload all his photos, the option for storage was high quality, unlimited storage, great quality at reduced file size, and original, which was full resolution that counted against your quota. So if you're excited about that unlimited, it's not going to be full quality. He says, my deduction from these descriptions is that unlimited storage will still be compressing your files to be smaller. And then Ted who's a Lumia 1020 user, which supports RAW photo backups, did a little research himself and went and said, I went directly to Flickr and Google. Neither one supports RAW at this time. Google limits your uploads to 75 megabytes per photo or 10 gigabytes per video. They also limit the resolution as well, as does Flickr. So if you are a serious photographer who shoots in RAW or high resolution, you need to read the fine print on Google Photos. If you're just an amateur guy like me who doesn't care, then yeah, it's unlimited.
It's good stuff.
And Dwayne here from somewhere in the desert, which I cannot wait to leave, says, you said you have never seen the sharing of photos with the link. I don't know if I said I'd never seen the sharing of photos with the link. I thought what I said was I'm excited to see Microsoft doing with this a link because we don't see it very often. But let's say I said I never did. His point is Microsoft has been doing this for years. Microsoft has some good features like giving the sender rights to allow the receiver to just view, download, or edit, time span that they have access, and it's all built into Outlook and OneDrive. So thanks for the tip. Good stuff. And thank you, Darren Kitchen, for joining us as always, my friend. It's great to have you back. We missed you, and we're very excited about what's going on with hack5.org. As I've mentioned, I'm a big fan of ThreatWire, which, I don't like to brag, but Darren personally delivered today's episode to me, so I could watch it immediately.
Yes, it's a new option that we're thinking about implementing for our special patrons at a certain level. Hand delivery. It's something you just won't find. These are handcrafted podcasts. And most of them are free range and fair trade. We try to keep them organic when possible. Yeah. So we appreciate. Good. You can find all of these free range podcasts at HAK5.org, and that's where you'll find ThreatWire on security, privacy, and internet freedom. Metasploit Minute if you're interested in learning some of the best hacking frameworks. Hack Tip with Shannon, which goes into the basics of hacking, as well as Tech Thing with Shannon Morse and Patrick Norton. It's your more general tech show. Of course, Hack5 has been around for 10 years now, and we're just kicking it old school. And and we got an awesome show this week all about 3D mapping using drones. So with just a GoPro and a drone, you can create 3D models of things on the ground. So we went out to the high seas and took photographs of interesting installations in the bay.
There you go. For all your small batch artisan podcast needs, head to hak5.org. Len Peralta is an artisan.
Yes. In
a real sense, because he makes art.
If I work on an artisanal, background here, and this is what I do. No, this is today's image. The image for today I was kind of taken by the fact that hackers could kill you, which I thought, you talked about it, and Darren said that he doesn't think that it's going to be like, guys fighting and stuff like that. But I like to think that it's going to be guys fighting. And so here's an image of...
But what if it was guys fighting?
What if it was? I think it would look a little like this. No, it's the image today is of a Korean hacker who looks a little bit like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat, battling our very own Darren Kitchen, with you looking on in fear in the background, of course. And it just says,
I wish I wasn't petrified, Darren. I'd help you out.
Yes.
You're just
I know. I know you've got my back.
Literally, that's all I have is a shocked look at your back.
Actually, now that I think of it, Tom, is that not the expression you're making in most of Len's art?
It's kind of the expression I'm making in most of my life, I'll be honest.
Maybe next I should have had you battling him too, Tom. I didn't even think.
I think the problem is Len's going off photos of me, and all I ever do in a selfie photo that anyone makes me take is that face. So
it should be your new avatar. It's what it is.
Maybe it should. Yeah. No, this is fantastic. I think Darren is going to prevail. I think we're seeing, that point in the fight where it looks like our hero cannot win. But don't forget, Darren's gripping a pineapple here, and that's going to play into the next move. I swear.
I think what I'm going to go for is the medical device hacks, because that's where you can actually kill people. Like turn off the
oh yes.
Yeah. That's
all
where
this guy's got is a USB drive. Darren's not going to plug that in. Trust me.
I don't know. Pineapple versus USB drive. I mean,
well, the USB drive is a little skull. So
cute.
Who knows?
That's actually kind
of
cute.
What's going on?
Don't underestimate the skull drive.
So where can I find this fine art, Len Peralta?
Well, you can go to lenperaltstore.com, You can purchase it right now. I just put up a new banner today. I've got some great prints in there, some great geeky pinups, including a mashup of Immortan Joe and Beetlejuice called Beetle Joe, which is right there on the front page. I got some great prints of Black Widow, of Furiosa. I keep on forgetting Imperio to Furiosa.
She's Imperator.
Imperator, there
That's
you
her
go,
proper
Furiosa.
title, yeah.
Got a whole bunch of stuff there. Plus, if you want to get each one of these images as a digital file, high-res digital file to put on your phone or maybe your background, go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Len. Back the DTNS Lover level, you'll get each and every one of these as high-res files. It's environmentally friendly, keeps me from having to print them out, and you save a little bit too. You get a better deal, I think, if you do that. So
go back that. Len, you never cease to amaze me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom.
And thank you to our patrons, 5,049 people who are backing the show every month. They're like, look, I get enough value out of the show. I'm going to give you at least $1. So I'm giving more. You guys are the best. And so is everybody who backs the show in any way that they can or want to. DailyTechNewsShow.com/support. For all those ways, you can even find a DTNS mug there. Drink some tasty coffee out of it. DailyTechNewsShow.com/store. Our email address is feedback@DailyTechNewsShow.com. You can give us a call, 51259-DAILY. Listen to the show live at alphageekradio.com. Visit our website, DailyTechNewsShow.com. And then come back Monday when we'll have Veronica Belmont on the show. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Great show, everybody.
Very good.
What should we call this one?
All right. Well, we have leading a two-way tie at number 3 votes. Very Poor Network, submitted by Tinvec, /kick North Korea from BioCow. And then we've got a couple of 2s, Digital Bends, Siri, how do I fix this found? Hola VPN, adios bandwidth, and extremely low title. Oh, and then of course I can't ban North Korea.
Oh, I like that one.
That's got an immediate number 3 from me. Let's see, what else have we got?
I have I have a really good idea for the name of the show. I'm just going to paste it in IRC right now.
Be sure to text it to your friends.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I'm also a fan of Sunbun's choosy Facebook chooses GIF.
Let's find out what podcast fetchers are vulnerable, you know?
Oh, yeah, let's find that out.
It'll be the least listened
Let's
to
let Tom get all of those emails to feedback at
Sure. I'd like to submit one other deep cut, which is choosy Facebook chooses GIF.
Yeah, I picked up on Tom's equal opportunity GIF jiffer.
I saw that you started.
Yeah.
We're playing to, as Tinvec put it, you are either pissing off or appeasing both sides.
Yes.
What do you guys like here? Very Poor Network's pretty good too, actually.
Yeah.
A mouse in Tom's pants.
Choosy Facebook chooses
There's
GIF.
always Facebook gets animated.
Extremely low.
I feel like I need more coffee for this show. Sorry.
I think
what
I
about
can't
Ola,
ban. What? Which one, Roger?
The Ola VPN adios bandwidth.
Oh, Hola VPN. Adios bandwidth. I like it.
Where is it? I don't see it.
I just
It's
voted
number
it
4
right now.
from Beatmaster.
Oh, just took second place.
Oh, I can't ban North Korea or Hola VPN adios bandwidth. I like both of them.
Ooh, I just got the I can't.
Yeah, I think I like that one the best.
I
It fits
like
the main topic too. All right, we're going with that then.
All right. The title has been chosen.
Man, I want forget Cortana. I want Jenny.
Gentana.
Wouldn't that be so great if you could commission people to like be
Yeah.
the voice of your Siri?
Darren Kitchen.
That's
Have
an
you tried
entirely
rebooting
new
your
cottage
computer?
industry. That'd be great.
You know the lady that used to do the doo doo doo. The number you have dialed is not.
Oh yeah.
Okay, she does people's voicemails now.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, the woman who is Siri follows me on Twitter.
Whoa.
Oh, really? The original Siri or the new one? Because there's two different ones.
I don't remember. It just says I am the voice of Siri.
It's probably the original one then. Because I don't think the current one is like makes a big deal, makes it public.
Oh, I got you.
The original one can talk about it now because she's no longer.
She's no longer part of the.
Yeah.
Well, that would just be so weird. She's in an elevator and says something, and then everybody's looking at their phones.
You could totally prank people, could you?
Yeah.
What did you say?
I'm gonna go.
What
mow
can
the
I help
lawn,
you with?
everybody.
Has her voice, and
Yeah.
then just like respond to her as if, yes, mother.
All right, I'm gonna go mow the lawn. For real.
Really?
That's not a.
That's what
I was like,
euphemism.
hell of a euphemism there.
It's not a
is
euphemism.
that what you call it?
I'm gonna go
When
mow the
you-
lawn.
Take
Hey,
a
wait,
gas-powered machine and slice grass with a rotational blade.
Mm.
Don't you have your son do that?
They're not even. They're not
The
anywhere
point of
around.
having offspring?
Yes, my sons. My sons are never around. So
How convenient.
yes, they're finding their own lives and like leaving dad. I did do it. I did have him do it last time for Mother's Day. I said you're gonna do this for me and your mom. It's my Mother's Day too.
Aw.
Mm. Oh,
What the heck, Peralta men?
I know.
Most of the lawns. What about What about your daughters? They can mow the lawn.
Yeah, I'd love to see my daughters mow the lawn. That'd be
No?
How old are they though?
Well, my oldest daughter is 14.
She can mow the
Oh,
lawn.
she can mow the lawn.
Yeah.
I was at Camp CIT and I mowed lawns, so she can too. I mowed lawns like real time.
To be honest though, it is not a fun job because our lawnmower is a piece of crap, and the arms they're broken. So by the time you're done, you're like literally on the ground pushing this thing.
mm.
Is it a power mower?
It is a power mower. It's ridiculous.
My dad would not get a power mower for the longest time, so I had to mow the lawn with the old
Oh.
Push mower.
push mower. And then I would have to rake everything up afterwards.
Oh.
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 Which it's like, why would you have a lawn now? Like every time I see a lawn, it's like that would be a great rock garden or something else that would take like a minimum energy.
Well, I guess in Berkeley, that's all you're allowed to have. Or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our neighbors, our two neighbors, have riding lawnmowers.
What?
You know, because and I'm thinking, well, the backyards are big, but they're not that big that you need a riding lawnmower.
Are they less than an acre?
Yes, yes, they are.
They see
But
me
it's-
mowing.
But
my
I'm
front
like,
lawn.
as cool as that would be, I just couldn't see myself doing that.
Oh, come on. I want to see you do that. You should rent one and do a
It would,
video.
you know what
I wanna
the
see
cool
the
ones
next-
are? The ones you stand on, like they ever see those guys who are
Yeah.
just like,
Okay.
I
So
want one
Len,
of those.
What's going to happen is a ride on lawnmower is going to find its way into next Friday's DTNS art. Somehow.
Somehow.
It will. It will.
And maybe, it'll probably just be Tom riding on it going,
No, it's the mower with Len standing on it, even though he's not supposed to be, and
Oh,
it's
he's
like
chasing
running
you
me
down.
down.
Tom is underneath going, I promise next week I will draw you looking a little bit more, a little tougher.
It's fine. I don't care.
oh,
I really don't.
I'm just glad that after all of the pineapples that have worked their way into the art, I'm finally launching the turtle. So
Oh, nice.
now, turtle shells.
Give Len something new.
Yes.
Some material.
Pineapples and turtles. A turtle eating a pineapple.
Yeah.
A turtle and a duck.
Snacking
I have
on
a
duck.
question.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Mhm.
What would it take to become Gentana?
Like in the
But I-
video game, or just as
No,
the,
like practically, like what would it take for a human being to record their voice to become Siri? Do you have to record every word in the English language?
I believe the way that it works is similar to other synthetic voice technologies where there's three ways to do it. There's the one where it's like all robotic. Then there's the one where it's like all like, and we've heard this from the 90s with telephone systems, where it's like each word is actually recorded, which sucks because they never come together right. And then there's fragments where you say ooh, ah, ooh, and they use those plus synthetics to merge them together to say words. And I don't know how they record people's voices to get those strange utterances. They probably ask you to say a bunch of weird words that they take
vowels.
I read something once, and I'm barely recollecting it, but it was something where they didn't just read the individual symbols; they read text, and then they were able to pull the individual syllables out.
They usually have them read a paragraph of commonly used words and enunciations, vowel sounds, and stuff, so they can pull those instances and then repaste them together. But they have to do it multiple
brown
times.
Fox jumps over the lazy
ace
dog.
detect.
Yeah, and you have to say it in a very particular manner. You can't speak it very conversationally because it kind of messes up with that.
I sense a project.
Do you remember in the late 90s where there were like these companies where you could write your handwriting in these little boxes and submit this in the mail, and then they would create a DOS font of your handwriting and send it back to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would be like the next evolution of that.
It's
and by the way, Len, we know you need to go mow the lawn, so don't feel like you have to hang around.
I was actually interested in this. I thought it was pretty cool. Oh,
Yeah,
and by the way, for those of you who remember last week when Jerry told me to draw he told me to draw J.R. Smith riding a horse.
Yeah.
I've done 4 of them, and they ended up on the Cavs Reddit or something like that. But
that's cool.
Oh, awesome!
Check it out. Yeah, there's 4 of them right now, and I'm going to keep drawing them.
You have to attach them to the hashtags that are going by to get them more widely disseminated. Because I noticed that you put a bunch of them out, but you didn't attach them to any of the popular hashtags.
Oh, like what?
So anytime the Cavs are playing, go to Twitter and just go to like Twitter in app browser app or the web page. I'm sorry, a browser app is apparently called a web page.
What are these browser apps you're talking about, Jetty? I don't have those installed.
Where do I find the browser on my Chromebook?
Which app is that?
And go to United States Trends when the Cavs are playing and just look for the hashtags. There will be some dominant hashtag, and just go start or just type Cavs or Cleveland and see what pops up, and then just start ruthlessly attaching your photo to all those, and it will go much quicker.
Okay.
It will build. Okay?
Usually I draw it after the game, though. Does it have to be during the game?
That's okay. It's still, believe me, it'll still be trending.
Okay.
Yeah, keep an eye on which ones are trending during the game, and then attach it to, because people will be looking for them as soon as the game's over.
That's rad. I didn't realize you could do that too.
Yeah, that's cool.
It'll just help it get more widely disseminated.
That's good to know.
Yeah. This much I know about Twitters.
Well,
I love it when I publish the post and it says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I feel like WordPress is criticizing the show. Are you sure? I'm like, no, it was a really good show.
No,
yeah,
for real, it is. Yeah, I do want to do this. Yes.
Actually,
what
the best
it should say is, "I'm so excited to publish."
Are you sure you're sure?
Right. You're like, yes, I'm sure. Are you sure you're sure?
Yeah. One of those like, it's 11:30 and yeah, you guys broke up.
Have you listened back? Because Darren's good. But did you listen to yourself, Tom? It's like the third screen. I'm like still clicking.
It's like that episode of Seinfeld where George gets the audiobook that sounds like himself, and he can't stand it. He's like, "Oh, this is terrible. Why did I get this audiobook?" Anyhow, all right,
Len. Happy lawn mowing. Don't get allergies.
I won't. Thank you so much, and thank you again, Darren.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later on it. Cheers.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, I'm excited.
El episode is publicado.
On a mural. Ooh, I should probably have Len do a mural. But he's doing a past photo thing for Hack 5. Excited.
You should fly him out and have him do a giant mural in that room.
You know what? Oh my god, I know the perfect place to do it. And actually I can show you. Here, I'll paste a link in chat. So at the top left of the screen on that link, hack5.org/live, you'll see this massive white wall that is just begging for a mural.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Darren's been obsessed with that wall. He's been hunting it. He makes his
Well,
crew look for it. It's his white wall.
Actually, it's oh my god, dude, you have no idea. I don't even want to say. I had to buy that wall. I had to have that wall installed because of the dogs on the other side.
Yeah,
right.
It's still not as effective as
he's obsessed. I'm telling you.
Yes.
And then they're always playing music, and Darren's like, "What is that music?" And they're like, "It's Moby Dick."
It's Moby.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should totally do that.
And this is the albatross I wear.
What is it? Your hat?
Yeah, it is. I don't know. They all are. Let's go with that.
That's the funny thing about the albatross is it, and I'm sure most of you have heard this already, so you can roll your eyes. Go ahead. Albatross was a signal of good fortune for sailors, and that was the central irony of him getting choked by the albatross, right? Was that he got choked by a symbol of good fortune, which just shows how bad his fortune was. I don't know what the current, because rabbit's feet are kind of out of favor. What's a shamrock? Like you choked eating a artisan small batch shamrock salad?
I think it depends culturally, but how about this? If there was, for instance, a Japanese version of Moby Dick, there should be one of those cell phone charms that hang off the side of your phone. If you got enough of those, you could definitely choke on them.
It's like a 4-leaf clover charm hanging off of what's his name? Captain
Ahab.
Captain Ahab's cell phone.
Yeah, well,
it's so weird. He choked on his 4-leaf clover charm.
Right. Why is there not a modern reinterpretation of Moby Dick?
I do like the idea of
as a hipster.
Right turn into Weirdville.
So Ahab is actually a hipster from Portland. Dresses in flannel, great big beard. He's got an
bejewels
iPhone.
all his phones.
Right. He's a freelance web dev.
He bejewels ironically though. Or bedazzle. I mean bedazzle. Sorry.
Bedazzle.
Yeah. He bedazzles ironically.
Don't
he plays
do it
Bejeweled on his iPhone secretly.
Yeah. And then
Here they come.
That's the pun police. Sorry, guys.
The whale would be. What would the whale be?
Okay, hipster from Portland. My bedazzling aside, and his white whale is a high quality first run print of Star Wars.
Oh,
wait, why would that?
Hard to find. Well, but that wouldn't have destroyed him. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Maybe he really didn't like it when he was 6. He's
horrified. Startup, right? And he's chasing the dream. The whale is the dream.
Oh, the whale is reading every book in Powell's bookstore.
Right, in Powell's bookstore, and Ishmael is the books. Wait,
you're out of the post, right?
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely out of the post.
Okay.
I'm so out of the post.
I think I'm going to leave this reinterpretation to the professionals.
We leave it as an exercise for the audience to conclude.
We will get emails.
Oh, yeah.
Please do. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
And if you can tell the entire story in emoji, you win all of the internets. I think
especially
there is a whale
use
emoji.
Hold on.
the Twitter fail whale.
So he's a startup, and he's looking for perfection, right?
Right.
He's been burned by something before, and he's trying to hunt it down. It's a bug in code.
So I like that even more. It's kind of profound, right? He's chasing the missing semicolon or whatever have you. He gets bit by the code.
Yeah, bit by the code.
Bit by
Get
the
it?
code. There we go. Bit by the code.
Writes itself.
You
Yes.
gotta stop
Literally,
because
that's the software he wrote was software that writes itself.
Exactly. That's actually the code he's working on.
Right.
Is a program that writes stories.
That writes stories about obsessions.
Yes. So, can we get Diamond Club on this?
Yeah, seriously.
They have a long list of projects. They've got Gentana. They've got Pablum. Did you hear about Pablum?
What's Pablum? Tell us about
All right.
Pablum.
So Pablum is an idea I came up with a long time ago at Yahoo, and a bunch of my Yahoo friends and I were going to build it, and then we never did. But we were just friends. We weren't building it at Yahoo. And what it was is the passive-aggressive business language manipulator. And its job was it was a filter that you could run through emails where you typed off like a sassy email to your boss or someone in another department, and you were very direct and very not so nice about it. And then it would just generate an alternate version of the email that used that weird passive-aggressive business language that never offends anybody and never gets anything done. And it would just automatically translate your email into business speak. And save your job. Pablum, passive-aggressive business language manipulator.
And it would translate to Pablum.
Yeah. Isn't that great? I'm really good at naming things.
I feel like this is an opportunity for an auto generator where it's like Mad Libs, right? Where you get the drop downs, where you get to choose like what is it that we're trying to achieve? Whose fault is it that we haven't achieved it? You know, what are the milestone goals here that slip through the cracks?
What are next steps? What are next steps? That was always my favorite next step.
What are the action items and all of that?
Yep.
And then have it just generate.
Yeah.
You can probably get through a few seasons of real work this way.
By the way, I just noticed that BioCow said, for going back to our Captain Ahab programmer, the code is also not well commented.
No, of course not. BioCow also mentioned emojidick.com, which is a real thing.
That is a real thing.
I did not know.
Amazing.
And it's a damn shame it's $200. That's a bit much, but I bet it would look amazing on the. No, it's not $200 worth it, but it's still pretty cool.
They're still after me. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
I think they're just riding up and down my street at this point. Whee!
They're coming to take you away, haha. They're coming to take you away.
Well, I'm going to take myself away. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
It's good to see you guys again.
Stay tuned for Current Geek with Scott Johnson and myself at 4 p.m. after your late local news and Mr. Potter's podcast. It's no skin off his nose.